All right, last and sort of least, we have our Week 2 slow roll to the restart of college football. There are a few more top 25 teams in action this weekend, including Oklahoma State, Pittsburgh, and somehow Louisiana, not Louisiana State, is number 19. We do have one top 25 matchup, which is Miami taking on Louisville. We also got to think that Notre Dame and South Florida could be fun. So, Drink, some decent games. Which one has you the most interested?
Well, listen, first and foremost, let me go ahead and make sure I roll this out for the wonderful listeners of this show. Next week, you know what time it is, Saturday. We got the main event coming through, better known as the SEC conference getting it started. So this week you better enjoy it, ACC. You better enjoy that prime time. If you well, you know what, Clemson, they're gonna be prime time regardless. But the rest of the ACC, you better enjoy what you're gonna get now. The Big 12 better enjoy just beating the crap out of. Did you see that schedule from the Big 12 last Saturday? I mean, they was out here playing some. They was playing some. I was like, oh, this is some bull.
Holding some L's too. I mean, Iowa State did its yearly drop out of the top 25 in week 1 thing against, what was it?
Right.
I don't remember who it was. And Kansas State loses to Arkansas State. That's not how you want to start Big 12.
I think Iowa lost to Louisiana, the team I just mentioned.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Got them ranked.
So, listen, but to the teams that will play this weekend, I do like the Notre Dame matchup. I think that's going to be interesting. Pittsburgh, Syracuse, that seemed like, for what it's worth, it might be okay. I did expect a little more out of Syracuse, but I think the head coach is pretty occupied with defending himself with being one of the only, one of the few black coaches in the Power 5 conference. I did hear them reference that a lot during their first game, and it did make me think maybe he is dealing with a lot, being the voice of that movement as far as that conference go. But listen, I looked at this slate, and I'm gonna be perfectly honest here. I'm glad we got football. I don't want to sound ungrateful. I don't want to sound because just months ago I'm saying I don't give a rip who play. I just want football, and I still feel that way. But a lot of these games are kind of hard to gas up, so to say. So I'm interested in, like I said, I'm interested in seeing Notre Dame in action with South Florida. I'm always interested in Clemson, even though it's the Citadel. I just want to see how they're going to keep the motor running against these powder puffs until some actual heat come down, down the pipe for them. But outside of that, man, it's slim pickings out here. We almost had one. Well, hold on. I'm being disrespectful to Miami and Louisville. Hold up. Let me bring that back.
That's right fine. Quick. Just speak.
Yeah. Let me bring that back right quick. That might be a game. I'm interested in this Louisville quarterback. I've been hearing all this hype. He was one of the most efficient guys in the country last year. Miami, they rolled out De'Aaron King last week. They looked at okay. I wasn't overly impressed, but they looked at all right. If they beat Louisville, then I'm gonna have to hear about how the U is back. Good luck with that. But I think the game that seems like the game. They got it in the 7:30 slot for ABC, so that's Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler calling that. So that should be the game to watch. So I am interested in that, and I'm interested in Clemson and Notre Dame. So outside of those three, it is what it is.
Yep, Drink's absolutely right about one thing. This is the kind of the ACC week to shine, so to speak, maybe, because that's kind of really the only major stuff that's going on. SEC will start next week, like you said. It's not going to feel like a real college football team until the SEC gets underway, and then when the Big Ten finally, gets into action, that's when we're really going to see some things. And by the way, can we just you mentioned all these teams that are ranked. I'm pretty sure it's 6 ACC teams that are ranked right now. You know what that's all about right now, because the Big Ten isn't in action, and the SEC I think they've still got a bunch of teams ranked, but because the Big Ten isn't anywhere close to playing, there's 5 or 6 teams that would be in the top 25. So the ACC right now, really, in all honesty, is about in a spade's hand. It's 2 and a P. it's Clemson, North Carolina, and maybe Virginia Tech. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I like that.
17, 18, like Miami, Louisville. That's only because, all those teams in the preseason rankings dropped out. So it's like, oh, yeah, 17 and 18. That sounds really good. And, we got Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit going to do the thing after a pretty good – they did a really good job in that first Monday Night Football game in the doubleheader, Pittsburgh and New York Giants. That was really good. But, yeah, this is the old, this is the old okadoke, switcheroo, whatever bamboozled, whatever you want to call it. This is not real. That if it was a real college football team, these teams would not be in the top 25, and they would not be playing on Saturday Night Football. But hey, the ACC, one of the things I talked about last year, and I think it will be a theme again this year, is kind of who is going to be that team that kind of rises from the ashes of the mediocre Coastal Division. Because we know in the Atlantic, it's Clemson and just everybody just like, just I don't even know what they're doing. They're just like Clemson's like, they're on a jet, and everyone else is like kind of in a horse and buggy, that kind of thing. They're not catching them. Forget about it. But maybe it's North Carolina. We'll see how they progress. Dare I say, maybe Miami comes out and they just dominate Louisville. Derek King does the thing, and maybe. Oh, God forbid, I got to see a turnover chain pop out. You know how I just love to see that. Virginia Tech, we'll see. Pittsburgh. It's an interesting division. We just don't quite know what to expect. But like Drink said, enjoy it ACC because come next week we're gonna be locked in on the SEC.
Yeah, as a little nugget for what Drink was talking about with these less subpar matchups, the ESPN game tonight, 7:30. Yes, not News or 2 or 6 or Ocho or whatever, is the Campbell Fighting Camels and Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. I think that's what you say. It was something to do with the changes and the cancellations. This is what actually fell to primetime ESPN on Friday night. So
well, thank God that we're recording this show right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, it's probably midway through, isn't it? But so I think Miami and Louisville is a little bit interesting because, like you said, Jay, someone at some point has to rise up out of this ACC. Okay, like North Carolina's kind of doing it, but it's been the Clemson show for a while now. I mean, we're sitting here waiting for another team to get their act together and come up and challenge Clemson. I mean, Florida State hasn't been good in 5 years. They just lost Georgia Tech, so forget them. In your analogy, they'd be the roadkill. The buggies pass 20 miles back. They're out of it. But it feels like outside of North Carolina, that Louisville and Miami both are on the rise, more or less. And I think this game is the winner of this game is going to get a real big confidence boost towards continuing that trajectory. This game was really good last year. They played last year. It was a 52-27 game, but Louisville was like throwing it all over the field. They had like 500 yards of offense. Mikhail Cunningham had a 56% completion, 343 yards, 3 touchdowns. And there's a ton of hype. Like if you read the previews that for this Louisville offense, they're saying it's reminiscent of like those Lamar Jackson teams where the offense was just ridiculous, but maybe the defense wasn't quite as good. They were a top 24 offense last year. So they got a nice stable of running backs. They just had a top 10 pick to the NFL in the O-line, and they got another kid that's going to get drafted high. So and you think on the other side of the coin, Miami trying to build that identity. Manny Diaz, we know, is a big defensive grinder guy. Are they going to establish that identity? Are they actually going to become that team, or are they just going to keep screwing around like they're doing? So, in a week where we don't have a whole lot, you got to kind of create them stories a little bit. I'm just saying, this one could be fun. It could be a fun game.
I got to jump in. Are you on the ESPN payroll right now? I see what you're doing. You're trying to hype this up.
I wouldn't be here.
Much respect to you. But then you come out here and you're talking about, did you see the dude that, Mekhi Becton that they sent to the NFL draft? You trying to hype up this game based off a dude that ain't on the field no more for this team?
Well, if they're recruiting dudes like him, they're getting a couple more. I mean, I'm just saying.
Listen, I ain't mad at you for. I mean, whatever. Somebody got to do it. But I want to hear what was that exciting score last year? It was 52 to what?
It was 52-27 at the end of the game. It was one.
That sounded like a shootout, boy. That was a shootout. Whoever had the ball last in that one.
I'm just saying.
That sounds more like
It was
that
a
sounds
fun
more like
game.
a firing squad.
For like 3.5 quarters, whatever the case may be. Bottom line, the team who does win this game, they're going to get a pretty big confidence boost because if there was ever a year where an ACC team needs to make a run and they're going to have opportunities, Notre Dame's top 10, Clemson, you got some opportunities. So win this game, get on the right track. Maybe we can get another team besides freaking Clemson up in here that's going to do something every year.